Chemical bonding is the formation of compounds between elements. Elements can be found on the periodic table of elements, which was arranged by a Russian man named Dmitry Mendeleev in 1869. An important part of understanding chemical bonding is knowing how many valence electrons an element has. Aside from the blank portion of the table, all of the columns are numbered. Those numbers represent the number of valence electrons each element has. For example, oxygen is in the 6th column of the periodic table and it has 6 valence electrons. There are two types of chemical bonds. The first type is ionic bonds. Ionic bonds are bonds between a metal and a nonmetal. Two examples of ionic bonds are NaCl and NaF, also known as sodium chloride and sodium fluoride. NaCl's chemical formula shows one sodium atom which has one valence electron. The second element in the chemical formula is chlorine, which has 7 valence electrons. Since sodium chloride is an ionic bond, sodium gives away its electron to fill chlorine's outer shell. Another example of an ionic bond is sodium fluoride. Since sodium is in the 1st column of the periodic table, it has 1 valence electron. Fluorine is in the 7th column, so it has 7. Since fluorine needs 1 electron to fill its outer shell, sodium gives away its electron. The second type of bond is a covalent bond. Covalent bonds are bonds between a nonmetal and another nonmetal. Two examples of covalent bonds are CO2, also known as carbon dioxide, and H2O, also known as hydrogen monoxide, or water. Carbon dioxide's chemical formula shows one carbon atom. Carbon is in the 4th column of the periodic table, so it has 4 valence electrons. The second part of the formula has O2. The subscript means there are 2 oxygen atoms, which each have 6 valence electrons. Since carbon dioxide is a covalent bond, the carbon atom and the oxygen atoms share their electrons to fill their shells rather than give them up. The second example of a covalent bond is H2O. The chemical formula has 1 oxygen atom. Oxygen is in the 6th column on the periodic table, so it has 6 valence electrons. Hydrogen has a subscript 2, meaning there are 2 hydrogen atoms. They each have 1 valence electron, which they share with the oxygen atom. As a recap, the number of valence electrons in an atom corresponds with their column number. Second, there are 2 types of bonds. Ionic bonds are between a metal and a nonmetal, and covalent bonds are between 2 nonmetals. Lastly, the chemical formula is a set of letters and numbers that tell which elements are in a compound and how many of them there are.